Hi, I'm Riz Ketzel, and today's video is a care collab video on Brassavola Little Stars. This video will be a collaboration with Nina of Ninja Orchids, and I invite you to her channel. She has a wonderful orchid collection and grows in semi-hydro. And I'll put a link to her channel in my description. And so the idea behind the Care Collab project is to get as many viewers describe their growing conditions and how they manage to bloom certain orchids. So the care for one orchid will be all grouped together, and it'll give everyone a much broader view on how a particular orchid can grow. So, Brassavola Little Stars. I featured this one in my update just a few days ago, and it has become a reliable bloomer for me. I'll start off by describing what it is. Brassavola Little Stars is a primary hybrid between two Brassavolas, which I happen to have. I recently acquired these this summer. This is Brassavola nodosa on the back, which looks very similar. And the one here in spike is Brassavola cordata or subulifolia. And yeah, so I got this from Lucy the cat, this one here, and this one was purchased from Tropical Gardens. But yeah, so they all basically take the same care, at least they will in my home. But going back to this plant, as you could see, they're very similar, perhaps more so to the nodosa parent. So the way I grow mine is most of these, this is all the same plant. I've divided them up, and since 2012, I mean, it grew all of these pseudobulbs. It's amazing. And there's actually, Lucy the cat has one of the divisions, so I hope it'll bloom for her as well. But most of them are in netted pots, and I've tried clay pot just as an experiment of my own. And in the pot, there's some leca beads, small lava rock, and they're topped off with sphagnum moss. So yeah, these plants require some fast draining media because generally the roots don't like to stay wet for too long. Though I think you can get away a little bit more in the summertime. So in the summertime, they get watered relatively often because it's very hot here. They grow on a stand that's facing southwest, so it's very hot, very bright, and so I will fertilize at least 2 to 3 times a month with an MSU type fertilizer, and I will flush in between, and I will also add CalMag or seaweed extract or calcium nitrate as supplements to correct either pale leaves or help. The seaweed extract is helpful when repotting. Generally, I try to mix it up in the summertime when the plants are in active growth. But it is important to keep them bright, but perhaps not as bright as what I have here on my southwest window. But they will happily grow outside in the summer here in Canada, as long as you basically shade them in from the noon sun. Basically, they seem to be happy. They were okay with morning sun or late afternoon sun when I did summer them outside, but I don't do that anymore. I can get satisfactory results just by growing inside, but I do supplement the lighting, especially in the winter time, to help them along. So these plants are from the Caribbean, Central and South America, so they like it hot, and a lot of them grow exposed to full sun sometimes, and are relatively high up in the canopy. So yeah, so they can take quite a bit of sun, but you will have to monitor the leaf color. Generally, little stars, leaves are somewhat paler than the nodosa parent over there. So it doesn't seem to impede the flowering aspect of the plant, but I try not to give them too much nitrogen in general, because I want the plant to, at one point, concentrate on flowers. And that's particularly so in the fall, where I think is very crucial to perhaps not cut down too much on watering, but at least keep the lighting as bright as possible when they are especially forming their spikes. So the other thing to keep in mind is that you see the deformed one in the back. The spikes are very inconspicuous, so when they do come out from the middle of the pseudobulb there, you have to basically monitor them that they don't get caught in other pseudobulbs. Otherwise you're going to get a deformed flower just like that. Now the nice thing about this particular plant, flowers are not super large, but they are super fragrant at night. So as soon as the lights go off, you can smell it a few feet away. I'm not very good with descriptions on fragrance, but it is very pleasant. I don't know, it's yeah, it's just very pleasant. The flowers last for about a month, and if in this case, I don't know if I'll be able to find it. Yeah, this one here. I don't know if you can see it here in here. There's a little spike that didn't develop, but it may develop later on in winter, or it may develop in the springtime. So don't damage those spikes, because it may just develop. And that goes for any pseudobulb that hasn't bloomed. If the conditions are favorable, they will bloom from those in the future. So do take care of them. So as you can see, I'm trying different methods here. Hopefully the clay pot works just as well. It's not grown as much, but I got that from a single leaf. The plant broke and I just potted it up, and it's working just fine. But I have another division here. This one hasn't bloomed yet. So it just takes time, and when you repot them, it takes a while for them to establish. So you have to really be careful. Make sure you put them in a pot, that you don't have to move them over for 3 to 4 years, that sort of thing. Put it in inorganic media so it doesn't break off too much. And the sphagnum moss, well, you can just change that on top. That's not a big deal. But in the pot itself, make sure it's something that doesn't break up too much. And what happens over time is that these plants just basically grow on themselves. If they don't have room in the pot, they go over the edge, and they don't have anything to grow on, so they just grow on themselves. And it's some, if you leave it go on for a little while, it's okay, but eventually the plant's going to suffer. So yeah, so that's about it. The way I water it anyways in the summer, I don't think I mentioned that, is I just dunk the whole plants in a bucket of water. That's it. My plants are not prone to pests. Generally, if I do have pests, it might be spider mites, but they don't seem to damage these tough pseudobulbs all that much. Yeah, so I don't have currently. I don't have any mealybugs or yeah. Scale could be a problem, but I've not seen any on these plants. So yeah, I think they're fairly resistant to most pests. And I think it's because I do dunk them in water. I don't think anything can establish all that well. So I think that's the way to go. I do recommend that you flush at least once a month in the summertime so that you don't get fertilizers on the root. But generally, once they're established in the pot, I find them to be a relatively easy plant. If you find that yours doesn't want to bloom, bring up the light until you start seeing a little bit of purple on the leaves. That's probably the best way to go. And keep the conditions as bright as possible until you start seeing the spikes, and let them establish. Maybe pull back on watering a little bit when you start seeing the spikes, and that should be it. I think overall, I think it's a relatively carefree plant. And then when you feel comfortable, certainly you can try the other brassavolas, and I think that they'll pretty much all take the same type of care. So anyways, that's my video on Brassavola Little Stars. If you have any questions or comments on anything that I've said, please do so in the comments section. And again, I'd like to thank Nina for this wonderful idea, and I hope that many people join in and help along. I think it's a great idea. So thank you for watching, and happy growing.